Vine News 26 and CCTV. It's high school basketball. Coming to you tonight from Cadillac High School.
And welcome back. The post-game show here on 26 Sports and CCTV. Live Cadillac High School. Jay Simon and Kevin Gregory with you, where the Cadillac Vikings have pulled off the 40-36 victory over the Petoskey Northmen in a game that was one way for 2.5 quarters and another way for a quarter and a half. Just when I worked at the Cadillac News, we used to joke that we wanted to start every game like this, every story about every game like this, with the old tale of two cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But it really was. Tonight, it was the worst of times for the Vikings early, and it was the best of times for Petoskey. The script flipped, and the Vikings come away with the 4-point win. They trailed by 16 early in the third, 28-12, and then they close on a 28-8 run to pull off the victory. They move to 3-2 in the Big North. The Northmen fall to 3-1, and the Big North, from what we've seen here in Cadillac, as these teams have come in to play the Vikings, this is where we set up shop here on 26 Sports. The Big North is cray-cray. I don't know how any other way to explain it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of those things where any given night, right? And this is a night where Cadillac's coming in and, you know, they just come off a loss to Ludington, and Petoskey's riding high 3-0 in conference, starting to play well together, getting the continuity going, getting the familiarity with Culp coming back. And what happens? They ran into a second-half buzzsaw of effort that, I mean, you run into effort like that, it's going to be hard to beat anybody, because that's what Cadillac's got to do if they want to compete for a a Big North championship. Go
it's
blue.
An easy mistake
Go blue.
to make.
Big North championship. That's the kind of effort they got to put. That late third quarter and fourth quarter effort is the way they're going to compete in games this year.
Well, it sounds so cliche, but it just is, and the stats bear it out. The Northmen bury 4 3-pointers in the first half. They had a 26-12 lead at the end of the first 2 quarters. As mentioned, they were up 28-12 as they started that second half, and then the script got flipped. The Vikings had a couple of threes by Tip Baker, but then they hit 4 threes in the second half to pull away, or to climb back into it, and then eventually pull away. Perhaps none bigger than the Tip Baker 3 from the wing, the step back tippy-toe 3 over the outstretched arms of Danny Culp to knock it down and tie it at 36. That was the run, the closing run, when it was 33-36, 3-point lead for Petoskey that ended it for the Vikings.
Well, I know Coach Benzenberg is excited about what he saw there. You know, when we talked about it and touched on it a little bit at halftime, what he got out of his guys to generate some offense in the second half was he got people attacking the rim. And not only did he have people attacking the rim, but we can't say enough about the spark plug, number 50, Jacob Kahani, and what he provided Cadillac, because he provided an outlet on the opposite block for the dribble penetrator to dump it to. And he had 6 quick, huge points in that third quarter to spark the game. And also what that did is, because his presence was there, that allowed the weak side help to suck down a little bit on him. Cooper Benson got a wide open 3-pointer from the corner. Keegan Brooks got a wide open one from the wing. And then, of course, Tip Baker's with the outstretched arms. That wasn't wide open, but it freed up their offense a little bit to get some open looks, which was much, much needed for Cadillac.
Yeah, the offense for Petoskey just seemed to stagnate a bit in the second half. Obviously, you have to give the Viking defense some credit for that, but it just seemed like guys that were taking shots early. Nick Snyder had a 3. Colin Kingma had a couple of 3s. John Crittenden hit a bucket. Guys that were making buckets early, Seth Mann getting to the rim and getting a couple of buckets, they kind of stopped, it seemed like, in that second half. And I don't know if that's just a reluctance, an inexperienced thing necessarily for Petoskey. They've got multiple guys that, to my eye, look like they can get to the rim pretty much any time they want. They're big enough to finish at the rim. They just seem to get away from it in that second half.
Yeah, they got some nice ball players over there, and Joel Wilson got out and transitioned a couple times in the first half, getting some steals in the passing lane. And we mentioned number 3, Seth Mann, the quick first step that he had, got by his guy a few times. So, you know, it's a combination of a lot of things. You want to credit the Cadillac defense for getting up in their face. You also want to credit the guards for Cadillac, and we talked about this in the pregame, doing well against that length. Bothered them early. They didn't let that get to them. Controlled the tempo in the second half. and controlled the passing. They like to do this little three-man weave outside the top of the key, and they were able to, stay under control and not have any of these unforced turnovers, which allowed Petoskey to get out in transition early in the first.
Yeah, and Cooper Benson, who led all scorers, well, actually tied, led all scorers. He and Danny Culp both had 11 points in the game. Benson spent the entire game guarding the 6'9" junior Danny Culp. Obviously, he had a lot of help from the backside as they were bracketing Culp down low, but the Vikings and Coach Bensberg, really a nice game plan to keep Culp from hurting them down low.
Right. It was a good game plan, and you want to credit Cooper Benson. I want to hats off to that kid because he battled Culp down there, something fierce tonight. The one thing I think Petoskey, when they watch this again, when they watch the tape, what they're going to find is and we won't say numbers or names, but when Cadillac was helping so far off on the wing, they're going to want to shoot a couple of those shots and knock one or two down, or at least take them so the threat is there. So there's not, I can't play 15 feet off you if you're hitting a jump shot, or if you're at least shooting a jump shot. Coach is going to tell me to get a hand up, and by doing that, that's going to open up some of my size inside if you're Petoskey. So I'm sure it's an adjustment they'll look at moving forward.
Yep, some of that may be just experience, varsity experience. As we mentioned, we're not sure how many of these juniors played on the varsity last year for the Northmen, but Coach Dennis Starkey's been there a long time in Petoskey. He's run a fantastic program, and there's absolutely no doubt that they will get it figured out. We mentioned at the outset, didn't talk about it a whole lot during the game, but Danny Culp coming off that knee injury, just his fourth game with his teammates, and there's some adjustment. There's some things that they're still trying to discover, and Coach Starkey is one of the best in the business, and I'm sure the Northmen will figure it out. It should be an interesting rematch up in Petoskey in the second half of the season. Let's round out the scoring for you. We mentioned Danny Culp led the Northmen with 11 points. Seth Mann and Colin Kingma each finish with 6. Jake Lee and Joel Wilson finished with 4 apiece. Nick Snyder hit a 3 in the opening quarter, and John Crittenden with a bucket to round it out for the Northmen. Meanwhile, the Vikings, paced by Cooper Benson's 11 points, 7 in the second half, 5 in the final stanza. Tip Baker hit 3 threes, again, perhaps none bigger than the tying bucket when the score was 36-33 late in the fourth. He finishes with 9 points. Keegan Brooks finishes with 7. Jake Kahani, 6 big points in that second half. Cale Mickelson, the sophomore, finishes with 5, and Clayton McCarthy started and worked hard down low, had a bucket in the opening quarter to round it out for the Vikings, who, Kevin, unofficially go 0 of 9 from the free throw line, 0 of 6 in that final quarter, and somehow still pull it off. 3 huge rebounds on loose balls after missing the front end of 1-and-1s. You just don't see that very often.
Well, if defense and free throws win games and championships, tonight it was defense and second chance opportunities, and third chance opportunities, and then a fourth chance opportunity.
No doubt about that. 5 and 4 are the Northmen now, 3-1 in Big North play. The Vikings moved to 4-6, 3-2 in Big North action. We want to make sure we thank again Cadillac Tire, Pizza Plus, and High Point Cadillac GMC for their support of these broadcasts here on 26 Sports and CCTV. You want to get involved in that if you're interested in sponsoring these broadcasts, give us a shout, 942-4225. You can call the studios, talk to somebody. They'll be happy to let you know how you can help bring these broadcasts to the masses. And how do we do that? Well, it's the hardest working crew in television. Jacob Fulis, Rain Johnson-Hill, and Kaylee Buck running the show from the cameras, and Commander Dakota Pike in the truck bringing you all of these images. Couldn't do it without him. Our sincere thanks to these hard-working students from the Wexford CTC in that program. That's going to do it for Kevin Gregory. I'm Jay Simon. Thanks for being with us, folks. 40-36 your final. The Cadillac Vikings defeat the Petoskey Northmen. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.